We're surrounded by it, folks. Electricity. It powers our homes, runs our gadgets, and keeps the lights on. But here's the thing. Electricity doesn't care if you're a seasoned electrician or just plugging in your phone. One wrong move, one moment of carelessness, and it can all go south in a hurry. Burns, shocks, even worse. It happens more than you think. That's why we're here today. To dive deep into the world of electrical safety. We'll dig into the nitty-gritty of the hazards, the common mistakes people make, and most importantly, how you can stay safe around this powerful force. Electricity is all around us, powering our homes, workplaces, and industries. But one small mistake can lead to a deadly accident. Today we'll show you how to stay safe around electricity and avoid common hazards. Stay tuned. You know, we often talk about respecting the power of Mother Nature, right? The raw force of a hurricane, the relentless heat of the desert, that sort of thing, but we don't always give electricity the same kind of respect. We flip a switch, plug in a device, and forget that we're messing with a force of nature just as powerful as any storm. Electricity is silent, it's invisible, and it can be downright sneaky. You can't smell it, you can't see it coming, and by the time you feel it, well, it might be too late. And the results ain't pretty, folks. We're talking burns, from mild singes to third-degree nightmares. We're talking shocks that can knock you on your backside or stop your heart cold. So, what are some of these electrical hazards that can ruin your day? Let's start with overloaded circuits. You ever notice how your lights dim when you plug in a power-hungry appliance? That's your electrical system screaming for mercy. Too many devices on one circuit generate heat, and heat, my friends, is how electrical fires get started. Then there are damaged wires. I'm talking frayed cords, exposed wires, the kind of stuff you find in those dark corners of your basement or garage. These are accidents waiting to happen. One touch, and you're part of the circuit. And let's not forget about good old H2O. Water and electricity are a recipe for disaster. Water conducts electricity like crazy. That's why you never want to be near electrical appliances when your hands are wet, and it's why you need to be extra careful around bathrooms and kitchens. Now I know what you're thinking. Mike, you're freaking me out here. But listen, I'm not trying to scare you, I'm trying to prepare you. Because knowledge is power, and in this case, knowledge might just save your life. Alright, let's bring it home, literally. Your castle, your safe space, can also be a hotbed of electrical hazards if you're not careful. But don't worry, I'm here to give you the lowdown on how to keep your humble abode safe and sound. First up, surge protectors. You know those power strips with the big red buttons? Yeah, those aren't just for show. They're like bodyguards for your electronics, protecting them from sudden power surges that can fry circuits faster than you can say short circuit. Next, let's talk about wet hands. Remember what we said about water and electricity? The same rules apply at home. Dry your hands before you touch anything electrical, especially in the kitchen and bathroom. And while we're on the subject of common sense, let's talk about unplugging unused devices. Not only will this save you a few bucks on your energy bill, but it'll also reduce the risk of electrical fires. Those phone chargers, coffee makers, and hair dryers, unplug them when you're not using them. Now let's talk about those tangled messes of cords behind your entertainment center. I know, it's tempting to just shove everything back there and forget about it, but trust me, those loose and tangled wires are tripping hazards waiting to happen. Not only that, but they can also get damaged and become fire hazards. And speaking of fire hazards, did you know that electrical fires account for nearly 51,000 house fires every year? That's a whole lot of preventable damage, folks. Chapter 3. Powering up safety, your workplace, your rules. Alright folks, let's clock in and talk about workplace electrical safety. Whether you're on a construction site, in a factory, or even just plugging in your laptop at the office, these rules apply. First and foremost, if your job involves working directly with electricity, you better know your stuff. And I don't mean just knowing which end of the screwdriver to hold. I'm talking about proper training, certifications, and a healthy respect for the power you're dealing with. Now let's talk about lockout-tagout procedures, or LOTO for short. This is the bread and butter of electrical safety in the workplace. Before you do any work on electrical equipment, you need to de-energize it. That means shutting off the power at the source and locking it out so no one accidentally flips the switch while you're working. And speaking of working, let's talk about tools. Not just any tools, mind you, but insulated tools. These are specially designed tools with non-conductive handles that protect you from getting shocked. Remember, electricity always wants to find the easiest path to the ground. And if you're holding a metal tool, guess what? You're the path of least resistance. Now this next one might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people forget it. Keep a safe distance from power lines and high-voltage areas. Those lines aren't just carrying a little bit of juice, they're carrying enough power to stop your heart in an instant. And finally, let's talk about emergency procedures. What happens if someone gets shocked? What if there's an electrical fire? Do you know what to do? Every workplace should have a clear emergency plan in place, and everyone should know their role. Chapter 4. Emergency. What to do when electricity attacks. Okay folks, we've talked about prevention, but sometimes, despite our best efforts, accidents happen. And when they do, you need to know how to react quickly and safely. So let's talk about what to do in an electrical emergency. First scenario, someone gets shocked. What's the first rule? Don't panic. I know, easier said than done, but keeping a cool head can make all the difference. The most important thing is to not touch the person who's being shocked. Electricity might still be flowing through them, and you don't want to become part of the circuit. Instead, try to turn off the power source if it's safe to do so. If you can't, use a non-conductive object like a broom handle or a dry towel to move the person away from the source of the electricity. Once the person is free from the electrical source, check for breathing and a pulse. If they're not breathing or don't have a pulse, start CPR immediately and call 911 or your local emergency number. Now let's talk about electrical fires. These are nothing to mess around with, folks. The first thing to remember is that water and electricity don't mix. Never, ever throw water on an electrical fire. It will only make things worse. Instead, use a Class C fire extinguisher, which is specifically designed to put out electrical fires. If you don't have a Class C extinguisher, evacuate the area immediately and call the fire department. Remember, your safety is always the priority. Don't try to be a hero and fight an electrical fire yourself unless you're properly trained and equipped. Outro: stay charged, stay safe. So there you have it, folks. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the basics of electrical hazards to what to do in an emergency. Remember, electricity is a powerful force, but it's also a predictable one. If you understand how it works and follow the proper safety precautions, you can greatly reduce your risk of becoming another statistic. Always be aware of your surroundings, inspect your tools and equipment regularly, and never be afraid to ask questions or seek help if you're unsure about something. Because at the end of the day, your safety is in your hands. Now go forth and be safe, my electrically enlightened friends. Let's quickly recap how to stay safe around electricity. Always check for faulty wires and overloaded circuits. Keep electricity away from water. Use proper safety gear and tools. Know emergency procedures and act fast. Your safety is in your hands, so always be alert and follow these rules. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button. Subscribe for more safety tips and share with your friends. Stay safe and see you in the next video.